We know how to handle our own issues, but what we do not handle right is our spouse's issues. We try to fix them, and that's not the right way to go. What we need, if you want to be better at it, what we have to do is we have to follow these steps and work our way to being great partners for people who are struggling. My name's Nick Tabor, I'm a personal trainer. I talked about this stuff on this channel because I've lived through it. So, this question came in via Facebook. I have a partner who is struggling with addiction issues and struggling with some issues that I'm over my head. Nick, what can I do? I personally have never had a partner who's had a drug issue, but what I can talk about is I could talk about issues that I've had and also my wife has had and how we have dealt with it and how I've dealt with it as a partner as well. There have been times in our marriage where something has just dropped in our lap and without giving a lot of it away, where I have had to spend the time and take my energy away from what I'm doing or whatever's doing because, number one priority is my marriage. So I have to be able to help my wife out. I have to be able to be awesome at that given moment. But there are times where also I went way too far into it and I'm like, oh my God. Oh geez, now what? And I mean, you want your spouse to be feeling amazing and you want to make sure things are good. And there is the phrase happy wife, happy life, which I believe is absolutely true. However, I think what we have to do as human beings is we have to make sure that we don't lose ourselves either in the process because we've got our own life to live. We got to do our things, So I think if we had it, I mean, my heart's out to you. If you are struggling with an issue with, a spouse or husband, wife, or maybe a domestic partner or whoever, in your family who is, going through issues or going through professional, going through problems that require help. My heart's with you. So there's a few step process that you can do, I think, to be the best partner, as at least what I've done, to be able to be the best that we can do. I think we want to follow this. So step one, do not try to control the person, but you want to seek to understand. So my wife and I have been dating we've been together for a very long time. I mean, this year at the time of recording in 2020, it's soon to be 19 years. So it's been a really super long time. And there are issues, I think, as a partner at one point in time, if they have anxiety or if they have depression or anything, it's just get over it. What's wrong with you? And then you try to, if it's like an alcohol issue. I mean, I haven't experienced this myself, but people try to take you don't need it, I'll help you. And we try to be very macho and like, I've got this, I'll do that. No, that's not what you want to do. You don't want to seek to control the situation, but understand why this has happened. So, case in point, like I'll turn the tables on myself. I have talked about an addiction issue that I've had over a lot, a couple of videos here. So I'll link to it at the end of this video in particular. But when we found out why I had the particular addiction to pornography when I was a kid was because I had so much pent up anger and so much pent up rage about things that happened in my life that it was something that I just came back to because in my teenage years, it was a way to literally just release all the stress and to try to do that. So when it got to the point of saying, okay, this is a stress release, okay, this is basically like the same reason why somebody would have a cigarette, then we have to work on alternate ways to release the stress and then deal with it and then deal with that particular problem. But you got to also remember there is a step two: seek professional guidance. There are people who are trained. I'm such a huge advocate for mental health. Obviously, a lot of stuff that I talk about on this channel is for mental health, but seek guidance. And if your partner is willing to let you in on that particular session, or maybe with a counselor or something, yes, let them in. Let them do what they need to do. Then you work on it. Okay, what should I do? How should I help? Like, my wife was seeing a counselor, and I was lucky enough to get into the session, and, we talked. I'm like, okay, how should I help? What should I do? Because we make our best judgments, but somebody from the outside looking in could say, okay, you need to do X, Y, Z. You need to do ABC. You need to help out here, but it leads to step 3. You're into this together, and let your partner know that you're in it to win it, and you will help however you can, but you cannot lose yourself. You cannot lose your thing. You cannot not do what you need to do in order to live a good life, right? This one is the hardest because, if you're in a dedicated relationship, you want to do everything you can to bring that partner back into play, and you want to make sure that he or she is doing amazing. But what happens is we lose ourselves. We lose our ability, and everything in our life becomes taking care of this person. Trust me, this is the thing, because years later, you'll be in the room going, oh my God, what do I do for myself? And you'll spend all time working, and there'll be physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, and it is just a bad, bad, bad space to be in. There's a point where you've got to talk with your spouse, and you have to have clear boundaries. You have to be able to say, okay, if there's an issue, or if they're having like an OCD moment, or if they're having a problem with whatever addiction or something, you help them what you can, but then you say, you know what? I can only, it helps if you just be honest with that person of how much energy you had that day. And they've got to understand it. And just say, and you establish this when you're in a good moment, when you say, here, like, okay, if you have issues, I will help you all I possibly can, but I will tell you how much energy I have for that day. So, I'm busy, I have things, and it's just like, okay, once they agree to it and they know that happens, and make sure they understand it. And it's like, if I come home late from work, or, a really super long day, my wife's probably like, okay, good, I'll give you a half hour, and then I've got to get to bed because I got to get to work the next day, or I'll give you a half hour, let's hash it out and try to see what we can do and how we can help. But, that way at least it gives you time to say, this is the time I have, but I have to make sure my energy is full. Because once you drain all your energy, it takes a lot to bring it back up. And if you physically cannot give that moment, you need to be honest, because the best part of a relationship is clear and consistent communication. So there we are. The second one I really want to emphasize again, seek professional guidance. That is the biggest importance. There is so many resources you can use for help and guidance on things and how to do better as a person. I have no shame in saying my wife and I have sought counseling for a long time, not because of any particular marriage issues, but just because we want to be better people for each other. So, there's plenty of other videos on this channel that I'd like you to go ahead and check out. Why don't you check out this one right here? Go ahead and have a great time. Have an amazing day. I'll see you in that video. And as always, we climb.